Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is a video I had in the back of my head for a while, but again, I forgot about it. So anyways, today I'm going to be talking about Trish and why I'm not a very big fan of her. I definitely don't hate her by any means. There's only a couple of characters that I can really say that I hate. And I did definitely like Trish more towards the end of Golden Wind, but there are still many things about her character that kind of bother me. So that's what I'll be talking about today. As always with most of my JoJo videos, this video will contain spoilers for Golden Wind. So to be honest, I feel bad for making a whole video on why I don't like a 15-year-old. Part of me feels like I'm being too harsh, and she has been through a lot, so I'll try to be as nice and lenient as I can. And I'd like to start off this video with a little bit of positivity. I'll start out with talking about the things about Trish that I actually do like. For one, I like her design and clothing style. No shade towards Araki, but I prefer her anime design over her manga design. Trish is very pretty in both though, I just prefer her anime one. I also like Trish's stand. I think it's really cool and unique. I think she probably has one of the coolest stand awakenings, I guess you could call it, but at the same time it doesn't really make any sense because like your stand is supposed to be a manifestation of you. So is she just like talking to herself? Like she's just having full-blown conversations with herself? What a fucking loser. But anyway, I don't really get it, but regardless, I think it's cool. I also really love the relationship she had with Narancia. They obviously started off on the wrong foot, but it's really sweet to see how close they got. She definitely warms up around the gang and is nicer to them, but that being said, it doesn't excuse all the time she was shitty to them and didn't apologize. So I'm gonna walk through the episodes and we're gonna analyze Trish and her behavior.
僕ですか？
ええ。あなたなの？私、これからあなたとずっと一緒にいるわけ？
はい、そういうことです。僕たち6人です。これからあなたを命を懸けて護衛します。
そう。ではあなた、ちょっとその上着、ここで脱いでいただける？
上着ですか？なぜです？
いいから早く脱いで。別にあなたの裸が見たいってわけではないのよ。
わかりました。
ハンカチないから買ってきてね。それとストッキングの替えとジバンシーの2番の頬紅。ストッキングは太もものところに補強が入ってないとダメ。イタリアンボーグの最新号もお願い。それとミネラルウォーター。フランス製じゃなきゃ死んでも飲まないことにしてるの私。景色を眺めるの飽きたら早速買ってきてね。
Even if you're a fan of Trish, I don't think there's any justifying her behavior in this scene. Fugo was so fucking sweet to her here. We barely see him ever smile in part 5, but here he's actually smiling and trying to be respectful, and she just treats him like shit. Also, with her demanding all of this shit, look, I get it, she's a 15-year-old and whatever, but it's still really fucked up. Like, you are old enough to know how to act. It's not like you're 12 or 13, you're 15. At that point, you should know how to treat people, especially people that are risking their lives for you, and instead of saying thank you or whatever, you start asking them for all this ridiculous stuff. If I was Fugo, I would be mad too. And controversial opinion, I don't actually blame Fugo for not going with the group. For one, he had very valid reasons for not wanting to go. Literally anybody who calls Fugo a pussy would have done the exact same thing in his position. And two, he has absolutely no obligation to protect Trish. If somebody treated me the way Trish treated Fugo, I'm sorry, but I would not go out of my way to help them. I don't think doing this makes Fugo selfish or a coward or anything. He's a 16-year-old and he's very smart, one of the smartest in the gang. Do I think it would have been awesome if he did go with them? Of course, because he has one of the coolest stands in the series and he only got one fight to show it off, and I was also very interested in his character and seeing him grow. If the gang planned it out right, Fugo could have been the one to take out Diavolo easily. However, I know why this wasn't the case. I'm assuming most of you watching this video know this already, but for those who don't, Araki originally planned Fugo to be a traitor and so the gang would be forced to kill him. However, Araki was going through a deep depression at that time and he couldn't bring himself to write that, so he ended up just writing Fugo out of the story by having him leave the gang instead. But anyways, let's get back to the topic. Trish wasn't nice to the gang at first, specifically towards Fugo, which is sad because he genuinely tried his best to be nice to her. Another thing that bothers me about Trish is that she never apologizes for this. Like, I understand she was in the turtle when Fugo decided not to go with the gang, so she couldn't have known what was going on. But I mean, before he left, or even after he left, it would have been nice to see her show some remorse for the way she treated him. If she took accountability and apologized to the remaining gang members, I would have loved her. It wouldn't have reversed what she did, but giving a heartfelt apology and realizing what you did wrong is one of the most mature things you can do in my opinion.
さあ、手を貸そう。
別に不安とかそんなんじゃないわよ。
As shitty as Trish doing this was, trust me, I can definitely relate to this because I am the exact same way. I can understand why she's doing this. A lot of people feel like relying on someone else makes them seem weak. That's why I'm not letting anyone help me with my swords, because I want to feel like I'm independent and can do something myself. It's a really sad mindset to have, especially for someone that young. I'm willing to admit that Trish has been through a lot, like I said before, so I can understand her being a little defensive, but shout out to Bruno for being patient with her.
これはリクライニングシートのスイッチ。押すだけでシートの背もたれが電動で後ろに倒れていくわ。多分あいつはブローチよりもこのシートの動きを先に襲うはず。その隙にブローチを拾ってコックピットまで。でもダメよ。そんな賭け私にはできっこない。とてつもなく危険なことだわ。やっぱりクローゼットに隠れるのよ。私ったら自分で何をやってるか分かってるの？信じられない。賭けなんかしたくなかったのに押してしまったわ。
This scene also shows Trish's true personality really well. She's a scared girl who wants to appear strong, but she feels absolutely helpless in this situation because she doesn't have powers, or at least she's not aware of her powers at the time. I had no problem with this at all. I actually felt really bad for her during these couple of scenes.
さあ、そのブローチを拾って、トリッシュ。誰？
And as I mentioned before, I really like her stand awakening. I think the timing for it was great, like how Spice Girl was able to make Trish realize that she's not totally helpless and useless in this situation, and that if she stayed calm and thought logically, she'd be able to help out the team. My only problem is the way her character was handled here. In my personal opinion, her character development, if you can even call it that, is really rushed. Like, it just doesn't make any sense for her to go from somebody who's scared and timid and unsure of what to do to someone who is badass and cool and leads the team to victory.
バカな！何をやってるんだ！追いつかれる！
追いつかれるわ！ゆっくり動くなんてすっとろいことやってたらいずれ追いつかれるわよ、どっちみち！コックピットに入るのよ、ブチャージ！
血迷ったことをトリッシュ！ドアが破壊される！ドアだ！これは一体まさかお前…
不時着するですって、ブチャラティ。その考えなら逆よ。全員無事生き残ってサルディニアに到着したければこの飛行機はぶっ壊す！トリ
ッシュ、これはお前いつスタンド能力が…壁もガラスもゴムみたいに柔らかくなってる。
奴がスピードの速さを優先的に追跡してくるというのなら墜落の方が早いわ。ぶっ壊した飛行機の墜落の方がこのパラシュートより。
This scene would have gone way better in my opinion if she had Spice Girl talk her through most things, and she was still obviously nervous when protecting Bruno and Abacchio, instead of just having this whole "look at me guys, I'm so badass" moment. Maybe more of a "I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I need to try to be brave to protect my friends" kind of thing. I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm bad at explaining things, so I apologize.
ゆっくり進むのよ。中国人のする太極拳の動きのように。ブローチまではたったの2メートルばかしの距離よ。急いではいけない。急いだら死ぬ。また向かってくる。シートを破壊し終わったから。リクライニングの動きが止まったから。でもリクライニングシートはまだあるわ。
Like, notice how in this scene she's moving very slowly and her voice is kind of quivering. But she's trying to stay calm and she comes up with a solution to keep herself alive for at least a little longer. But here, like, she just knows exactly what she's doing. She's completely brave, no fear at all. I understand it was a very fast-paced situation, but it's still very possible to portray a character as being nervous and unsure of themselves while they are rushing or in a dire situation such as this. It doesn't make sense for her to undergo this drastic of a personality switch so early. I think it would have been way better if she had this kind of character development in the last battle against Diavolo. It would have made so much more sense and it wouldn't have felt as rushed. At that point, Trish would have had a little bit of time to get used to her stance, so she would have been more confident in her abilities at that time. So the last thing I'm gonna mention is this scene.
どんな気持ちなのだろう。
そうかそうかフーゴ。ケケケ。俺もさっきから彼女のあれが気になってしょうがねえんだよ。
え？あれは。
フーゴを許してやってください。別に悪気があったわけじゃありません。 ブレーキにかこつけてあなたのおっぱいを覗こうとかスカートの中の太ももさんに指を這わせようなんてことはつい出来心でした。
Look, I'd be lying if I said the voice acting wasn't funny as fuck. I watched JoJo dubbed and I wanted to put the dub version because I think it's funnier, but I was too lazy to look for it since sub is more popular and easier to find. But anyway, I've always hated scenes like this. Like, why do these great writers feel a need to sexualize female characters? Your story is fine without it. It's even worse here since Trish is a minor, but even if she wasn't, there's just no purpose for it. Mista is one of my favorite JoJo characters. He's in my top 5 somewhere, but I am definitely not condoning his behavior in this scene. Mista is 18 years old in part 5, while Trish is 15. Well, but the age of consent in Italy is 14. See, I hate when people use the age of consent argument because it's different around the world. Like, for example, I looked up the lowest age of consents around the world, and Jesus Christ, I sincerely hope that this isn't real, but assuming that it is, the age of consent in Nigeria is 12, according to Google. So does that mean it's okay for a 19-year-old to walk up to a 12-year-old and say, hey, you want a date? Like, just because it's legal, that doesn't make it right. Also, Mista is an adult while Trish is not. So yeah, it's still weird. I just hate seeing sexualization of male and female characters, and I just feel like it's so unnecessary. Like I said, I love Trish's design. I think her outfit is cool, but I wish it was, like, a little less revealing. Literally, in the first fucking scene that you meet her, she has her ass hanging out. And look, that's not her fault. That's the animator's fault. But still, maybe I'm just a snowflake and this scene is supposed to be funny and I need to just lighten up or whatever. But I've always just found it weird and uncomfortable. But that is just my opinion. And technically, there is another scene of Mista being weird with Trish. It happens during the body swap and Mista grabs Trish's, thing. But, okay, I might get canceled for saying this, but I don't think that he actually meant to do this. Look, I'm not saying it's right, but to be fair, he didn't know that he wasn't in his own body. Like, maybe he did that to check? Like, I don't... Look, again, it's still weird. Don't get me wrong. It's still weird, but I don't think he had malicious intent when he did this. Like, maybe I'm reading too far into this, but compare his facial expressions in the car scene to now. In the car scene, he looks... like, you know. But here, he genuinely looks horrified, so I really don't think that he did this to be a creep, but that is just my personal opinion. Mista's kind of a himbo, so maybe he just wasn't thinking, or maybe he did have ill intentions, I don't really know, but it didn't seem like he was trying to be a creep. Trish seems fine with Mista. She doesn't seem uncomfortable around him at all, even after some of the weird shit that he said and done to her. So that's nice to see. Like I mentioned, towards the end of Golden Wind, Trish definitely does warm up around the gang, and I really do like the fun friendship she has with Mista in the end. I also love the almost sibling connection she had with Narancia. I really, really wish the Part 5 cast returned in future parts. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Part 5 and 6 are the only parts where the characters introduced in that part don't appear in any other parts, which is kind of upsetting because, again, Part 5 is my favorite part, and I would love to see where Trish is at now. Because even now, like, I know I made a whole video explaining why I don't like her, but I don't, like, hate her. I just feel like there was so much wasted potential for her character. I wish we got to see her use her stand more, and I wish she ended up apologizing to the gang. But aside from that, again, Trish isn't a character I hate. Like, she's not even, like, in my most hated JoJo characters. I don't actually know who my least favorite JoJo character is. If I had to put Trish on a tier list, I would probably put her in high C. I think she's got a great design. I think her story was interesting and had a lot of potential, but I definitely wish that she was fleshed out more. She does play a small role in Purple Haze feedback, so if anyone wants to see her again, I'd recommend reading that. But anyways, that's all for today. Again, I am so sorry for the wait. I've been busy working on my swords. No, it just seems like I'm pulling excuses out of my ass, and to be honest, I kind of am. I've just been so fucking busy with that, and because school started back up for me, I've been focused on that as well. I'm trying to get a video out at least once a week if I can. Thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate the time, and I hope to see you in my next video.